So I want to talk about social media and what I believe is the best way to grow your account. In some sense, it's more of a philosophy or a way of looking at social media for businesses versus actual steps, which I actually will include some exact details on what to do. But I really want to approach this from a mindset, because a lot of businesses come to me about social media. They want to grow their social media. They want to get more followers. They want to do a lot of stuff like that. They want to have they want to make sales. Every business who comes to me wants to sell, and they think social media is a way for them to sell their business or to sell their services, and it definitely is. But I feel like they tend to forget the whole aspect of social media, which is to be social. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is let's be social on social media, and let's use media to socialize people in some sense, right? I don't know if that's the proper way of saying it, but you get what I'm saying. Meaning, social media is called social media for a reason. You have to be social, and the people who know how to be social are going to be the winners. And what I want to teach businesses, or what I want to kind of get the mindset of how to do this is, for example, let's get into this. As you grow up, you go to school, you do all these things, you get skills, but even beyond the hard skills that an individual may learn, they need to learn how to communicate. And that's why we take English courses. That's why we do all these things, essays, outlines, because school teaches. I think that's very important, and it's extremely important in education. And I think it's one of the oldest types of education, is learning how to write, learning how to communicate, learning how to put things together, put your ideas together, learning how to read. Back in the day, reading was such a big part of whether you were successful or not. And that was, a big push into making people literate so that they can actually, be part of society, contribute, have value. Anyways, so learning all these skills is good. But even beyond that, the most important thing that we learn with our hard skills is to actually being able to communicate with people, being able to say what you want to do. And even further, part of every kind of educational institution is your extracurricular activities. How are you involved with the community? How do you connect with people? How are you as a person, right? And I think that determines a lot of your success. That determines your network. That determines who you speak to. That determines what type of relationships you build with people. Because if they can trust you, they will work with you. And if they can work with you, they will give you value. You will give them value, and therefore you have a transaction. That transaction is measured in money and value. So therefore, one of the most important things is the social aspect. Which is why when we're kids, our parents say, hey, make sure you're polite, make sure you're nice, make sure you're listening, make sure, you learn this as you grow up, and you realize, hey, if I want to be someone in life, I have to have some social skills. And so my message for businesses today is, when they approach social media, you got to approach it with that level of socialness. You got to be social. Your business, your service has to be social. And a lot of the times these businesses approach social media with the mindset of, I want to put my services out there, and if I just pay $1 million to talk about my services, people will be interested. But if you don't connect with people, if you don't do anything engagement, people will not want to be interested. If anything, they're going to see that ad. They're going to see your media post as a drain to their life. And you don't want to be a drain to someone's life. You want to contribute. So that brings me to the actual hardcore tips. And that is, number one, when you're posting on social media, make sure it's relevant to the person you're trying to reach, the audience. And this might be all over the place. So again, maybe we can organize all my thoughts in a better way, but I'm just literally going to ramble. But I think there's nuggets all around this conversation. So here we go. So yeah, back to this. So social media, when businesses post, when they post something on social media, it's extremely important to be engaging, to really be about the audience that you're trying to reach. So it's very important to be specific about the audience that you want to reach. And most of the time, these businesses know who their audience is, because all they got to do is see who their sales are. Who are they selling to? What are they selling, and who are they selling to? All they got to look is their invoices, do a little bit of go backtrack, maybe look at their products, maybe look at the type of people who are buying their products, and they can somewhat understand who this person is. And by understanding who this person is, they need to understand what they're interested, how you can contribute to their life. In a regular social setting, you make friends and you get to know somebody. And when you get to know somebody, you understand what they like. You say, hey, you want to go watch a movie? I know you're on a diet, so let's not eat popcorn, but instead let's eat vegetables, hey, I know you're not drinking today, but you can come over and we can have apple juice instead. You accommodate to your friends' needs because you know them. You know what their goals are. You know what they want, Or let's say your friend says, hey, hey, I need a recommendation to a restaurant. I want to go there. And you're like, oh yeah, I have a few places. That's what friends are do. That's what being social is about, is when you're talking to somebody and you're able to give them value and you're able to create an exchange versus coming up to someone randomly and say, hey, do you want to buy this coffee mug? And they're like, no, get away from me, you weirdo. A lot of businesses approach it like that, and that's not how you do it. And so with social media, it's the same concept. If you're going to post a post, we need to give value to this person. It's literally one person you're hitting every single time, times 1,000. Yes, it's a group of people, but these group of people are not influenced by a crowd. They're not influenced by the mob. They're not influenced, if you're in a room and it's awkward, everyone feels awkward. You're literally impacting one person at a time, times 1,000, times 10,000, times 1,000,000. So you got to approach it like an individual person. How would they feel when they see your image? How would they feel when they hear about your service? It's like a flirt. You're not just gonna hit the home base right away. You gotta say, hey, you gotta like dress yourself up. If you're a brand, you gotta look good. You gotta have your tuxedo, or maybe not. Maybe you gotta have your nice jeans and a jean jacket. Whatever it is, you gotta look good for the thing. And then you attract, and then once you attract, you engage, you kind of feel them out. And that's what that's how I feel social media should be approached, is where you're kind of warming up your audience. It's a place to warm up your leads, to warm up your sales. And then at the right time, you make the call to action. You make that call to the sell. But it's not because you're trying to sell. It's because they want it. They need your service. And the only reason they need your service is because you already took the time to hear them out. You took the time to listen. You took the time to tell them about the amazing opportunity that you have, the amazing service that you're giving. And so that's social media. It's creating media and being social. I really don't hear a lot of people talk about this. I could be wrong, but they talk about, strategies, top 10 strategies. And I'm sure they mentioned some of these things, but I feel like that framework really helps to set everything into motion. So like when you're creating a TikTok, why are the most social TikToks always the best ones? Why is it the one where it's a conversational thing? Like I think there's a case here, and there's a brand that did a great job. I mean, they made millions in sales, and it's a vitamin brand, and it's a great product. And with the great product, they had a great ad. But you would think they would spend millions of dollars on this Facebook ad, but it was a simple ad of a lady in the garden, and she was an old elderly woman, maybe in her 60s. She looked youthful. She looked vibrant. She had a good energy. And then she held up the product, and the product was vinegar, apple cider vinegar, gummies. And a lot of elder people use this because when they get older, their acid goes down, so they need to eat apple cider vinegar. It helps them, and it helps digest the food, and it helps them get the nutrients from the food, and so it's really good. Apple cider vinegar. The traditional way of doing it was doing it through a spoon, where you just you directly eat it, and that's kind of nasty. Or you put it in a water and then you kind of mix it up and then you drink it, which is kind of nasty. It's better to eat the gummies, right?